happen, and Trump is changing his mind constantly. I mean, literally Friday afternoon, like, dude, what are you doing? So when people become unstable, they become more risk averse. They become slower. They're slower with payment terms. They're slower with, are we going to release this product line? Are we not going to release this product line? Advertising is tied to campaigns and launches. So if things get held up because things are stuck in the ports or whatever, that impacts how much they're willing to spend on advertising those products and services.
That's interesting. I mean, and the other side of it, and we've seen it as well, especially in media, when there's uncertainty, when people are unsure, then they go to trusted sources for news. Have you seen an uptick, obviously, in your space during this? I don't even know, this 100 days post-election, right?
Exactly. Traffic's up. I mean, media companies do well under Trump because he's chaos. You kind of have to stay involved. Yeah. And because people know they can't trust mainstream media anymore, they're looking for alternative platforms like y'all. I mean, I'm sure your traffic on your YouTube is probably skyrocketing. I saw Roland Martin's.
He's good. Numbers. He's good for business.
He's good for business. He's not good for society, but he is good.
There's the distinction. Thank you for drawing that line.
But I do think, I mean, even Roland Martin, I think, had like 300,000 subscribers in like 90 days. These are crazy numbers, but it's because people are looking for reliable sources of people they trust that they know they're going to get the truth from.
Yeah. I saw that you began investing into the stock market at the age of 13, which I think is amazing. What lessons from investing so early have you taken into your media empire?
Cash is king. The more cash you can sit on, the more you can take advantage when the moment strikes. Yes. I've done 3 acquisitions in the last, 5 years of Black-owned businesses. The only reason we've been able to do that is because we had cash waiting for a moment that made sense for us. And then the other thing is, like, when it comes to investing, I've also raised venture funding, which, you guys have talked about quite a bit. So I've raised over $12 million. You got to treat every dollar that you get as your last, and you got to figure out how you're going to flip it. That's the same thing with investing. When you get those moments where you have unreasonable gains, you got to take some chips off the table.
For sure.
Do not get greedy. Okay. And if we had listened to that, we all would be doing really well right now. If we had sold in November, December, being like, this is looking pretty darn good. And now that money would be worth basically 60, 70% more because the stocks are down. So you sold at the high, plus you're getting everything at the low. That's a double win.
So can you walk us through like some of your acquisitions that you made?
Yeah, for sure.
Companies?
Yeah, the first one I bought was Travel Noir. So Travel Noir was an Instagram brand. They had group trips, which was amazing. They did trips in Bahia and Johannesburg and Amalfi Coast with little, grandmas cooking pasta and stuff. And they had no media brand. Well, what we know is that Black travelers have huge discretionary income and are like really growing because millennials and Gen Z, we spend on experiences way more than our parents did. So I was like, all right, how do I build out Blavity in a way where we're off of interest groups, not just being Black, but like what Black people are interested in? And travel is one of them. So we bought Travel Noir. That was like 2017. I talk about it in my book, Rewriting Your Rules. And then the other brand that we bought was Shadow and Act. Same, but for entertainment in Hollywood. Black people watch more TV than any other demographic in the country. And we just love TV. And we love watching TV as an activity with other people, which is different. So that was the second brand we bought. And then 2 years ago, I bought a brand called R&B House Party, which is a traveling party series, so that we could build out Blavity Fest, which is our new festival, which will be in Atlanta at the end of May with 2 Chainz and Kirk Franklin and all types of programming around Black wealth. So just starting out our experiential business on the Blavity side, which is super important for our business.
Yeah, you referenced the book, Rewrite Your Rules. Let's talk about it. You said master yourself, master your method, master your growth. Break that down for us.
Yeah, I'm from St. Louis originally, and nobody really told me the game. What they told me was you work hard, you get a good job, you go to school, the best education you can get, and like it should all work out. And that's just not true. there are so many people watching this where it's like you did all the things. You like had the good job and you did all the things that you did what was right. And we're watching a system more so today than ever before, where the people who are making the rules, they're making them for all of us to follow, but they're not even following them.
Yeah.
So what do? You have to decide for yourself how you want to interact in that kind of system. So this book is basically a framework to help you figure out, well, if success isn't like do all these things and then you get this golden egg at the end, what is my definition of success? And how do I get there? What is the strategy and the frameworks that I need to have in order to do it? So it really is a workbook and a playbook for people to be able to do that, leveraging all the ups and downs of Blavity and the things that I've done. But more importantly, like whether you're a career 9-to-5er or an entrepreneur, like you can do what you want to do, but you have to define it for yourself.
I think one of the hardest things as an entrepreneur to do is to overcome obstacles, and we've gone through it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk to us about how you deal with attacks, obstacles that you may face in a business while you're trying to give back to our community?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we get attacked every day. You guys know.
Yeah.
I think that, I go back and forth on this. I mean, I was even watching the comments on Pinky's videos on your guys' channel, and I just talked to Pinky in my book tour stop in St. Louis for Rewriting Your Rules. And I think every time I read the feedback and comments, I really actually have a lot of empathy for our community, because what happens is like there's a lot of pile-on for systems and infrastructures that they don't get. And then I ask myself, well, how are they supposed to know? Like, how are they supposed to know what private equity is versus venture backable companies? How are they supposed to know, like, I have a board, I report to the board, it's not just me, I have shareholders. Like, how are they supposed to know this stuff? That's what gives me the motivation to say, well, it's my responsibility to tell them, right? And it allows me to say, you know what? Maybe we should do a video on how this works. Like, maybe we should have somebody, explain how to become a speaker at Afrotech. Maybe we should have somebody explain what it means to be a venture backable company and why maybe you shouldn't raise venture funding, because you're not actually looking for capital for equity exchange. You just need cash to grow your business. You need a loan or a line of credit. Like, let me actually take these moments as an opportunity to flip it back.
Okay. So being that you have a lot going on, right? Like, you run a company, but you also have two children or one?
I have one and I'm pregnant.
Okay.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
So
that's why my upper lip is sweating. It's all the hormones.
So how is that, right? Being about to be two young children, family, and then running several different companies. How have you? And then, when I ask people this before, some people in the comments, they're like, well, you never ask men this question. Well, it's different for men because we don't have the same responsibilities as the woman has, right? So
yeah, I agree.
I have to ask the woman the question because it's different being a mother than being a father. So how have you been able to manage all of this simultaneously?
Yeah, I think there's just different seasons at different paces. You need to be running fast in different seasons of your life. I believe that women can do it all and have it all, but I don't think we can do it all at the same time. And I had to renegotiate with myself how fast I was running at work in order to be able to prepare for motherhood. And, this is an intense 3 to 5 years where everybody's going to need mommy. The hidden trick for most successful women who are able to do this and run their careers is actually their partner and who they pick. I think that's not talked about enough because it's a privilege to pick your partner. And I know so many women, especially Black women, don't feel like they have an equal partner. But I was very much like unwilling to have kids or get married if this person was not going to be sometimes even 60-40 them when it came to kids, knowing the physical and mental adjustments that I was going to have to make for 5, 6, 7, 8 years while these kids are young. I think that's the one secret people don't really want to talk about.
Can you talk about that then? Can you say okay, what's important? What was important for you to recognize in your husband? What's important for women of your caliber? Because like you said, it's difficult, right? You're a CEO, you running around, you flying around. What does that companion look like as far as on the male side?
Yeah, I mean, I needed an alpha, and I'm a super alpha. So I needed a mega alpha. Like I needed somebody who was like, girl, sit down, and I was really comfortable with that. I mean, when I met my husband, he didn't even know what Blavity and Afrotech was. So, here I am, walking in like, I got a lot going on, and he's like, girl, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you're just cute with curly hair to me, and who are you when you don't have all those titles and all that extra stuff on you? It was such a blessing to meet a man in that time of my life who couldn't give a rat's butt about what I did and how much money I made and all the people I was connected to. He liked the fact that I would light candles in my house, you know what I mean? Like just random girly stuff. And I think that the more you can find people in your life that like you for you, even when you're a high achieving woman, where your whole life you have been focused on achieving for your career and your value is based off of what you've accomplished at work, because that's what you sacrificed for, it's so important that you find a person who doesn't actually care about those accolades. Because here's the thing, if I stopped working tomorrow, he would love me just the same. In fact, he'd probably be like, thank God she can finally pick up after herself. Like, thank God, So I think that's really imperative, is like your relationship cannot be codependent based off of the value you bring to the table from a work perspective. And for a lot of high achieving women, it's hard for us to decouple that because it's how we spent and sacrificed so much to get to where we are.
Well, kudos to your husband, and congrats to y'all on the new extension to the family. I want to go back into CEO mode for a sec, in terms of acquisitions, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are listening who have businesses and they're thinking like, oh my gosh, maybe I want to get invest. What are you looking for in terms of the next sector? Like you said, travel and leisure, we found Travel Noir. Yeah. What's not in the portfolio now that you would like to acquire or are looking to acquire somewhere in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. So when people are thinking about acquisitions, this is my general framework. Number one, is it cheaper for me to buy you than it is for me to build it? So it's either got to be cheaper for me to buy you than it is for me to build it, or it's got to be faster, which is actually for all three of my businesses, it was faster. Like it's really hard to build trust in the Black community. It was faster for me to buy a brand that was around for 7 years in travel than it was for me to try to build that. It would have taken too long. And I was trying to run fast. A lot of these AI companies that are getting eaten up is speed. They're trying to get as big as possible, right? As fast as possible, because winner takes all. So you got to put yourself in that position. And then the second thing is, can this run without you? Okay. Most small businesses in this country, 80% of them have an employee of one.
Yeah.
I'm not buying anybody that is fully dependent on that founder, because the moment that founder decides to chill because they just got a big payday, the business doesn't perform.
Yeah.
And then we have conflict because now you're not going to get your earnout. And now you're talking about, well, I'm not getting this money. And I said, well, you're not delivering on the goals that we had assumed in our projections. And now we have conflict. I don't want any more conflicts. I got too much going on. Okay. So, in these days, I get acquisition offers often. Like people are like, please buy my company, especially in this kind of market. And right now I'm like, let's do a joint venture. Let's partner. Let's see how it goes. Let's have some chips in the game and see how we both execute, and then see what the return on investment is. And then we can talk.
And under that framework, what makes a good part? Let's say there's someone tonight that may want to joint venture or partner with you. Yeah. What's like a perfect model or framework for them to be able to approach? And what are you looking for inside of that business?
Yeah, it's got to be something I can't do for myself. Again, either you got to be doing it cheaper or faster than me. That's where most people mess up. It's really not that hard. Like somebody's going to email me tonight and be like, you should buy my event company. And I'll be like, I already have an event company. Why do I need another? Yeah. Right. Or you should buy my recruiting is an area that we're looking at. So because we have hundreds of companies that already recruit through Afrotech, we don't do it for them, right? We give them access to the community, but it's on them to make the deal and make that exchange. We've thought about, well, maybe we should do it for you. For a price, we should be willing to help both the person looking for a job or the company looking to match. So I've been looking slightly. Now, I'm not talking about just a recruiter who was laid off, who wants me to buy them. No, like a recruiting company or agency that specializes in technical roles, that's something that I've had my eye open for.
Morgan, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
I want you to tell them about the book, like in detail. Like, what can they expect from reading the book? What do you want them to get out of the book? The whole gambit.
Yeah. So as you can see, I'm very direct, no sugarcoating. I think there's very few business books that are written for us and that show you the game in terms of how people think. Things like how Silicon Valley makes decision-making frameworks, thinking about how you move fast so that you can outpace your competitors without burning yourself out. So rewriting your rules is basically every chapter starts with a little story of how I built something or how I didn't, like how I missed payroll or whatever. And then it tells you the framework on how I got out of it or how you could apply this to your life and whatever your goals or dreams are. So you can get it at rewriteyourrules.com. And also there's tons of free workbooks and all types of resources that are online as well.
Sure, man. I like your decor. The backsplash is very nice touch.
Oh, thank you. This is my husband's office because it is more masculine than mine, considering your audience. So I was like, I need your office.
Somebody did the analytics.
That's a
I was like, I need you to take the Legos off. But other than that.
No, that's fire. That's fire. For sure. And keep up the great work, keep up the advocacy.
Yeah.
I know we was texting a lot during the pre-election.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot going on.
Yeah, we got to do a collab. We got to figure out. You guys let us know in the comments what you want Afrotech and EYL to do.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do something at InvestFest. Let's figure it out.
We could do that. All right, y'all. Enjoy.
All right.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Morgan.
Yeah. Welcome back. It's Monday. Y'all know what it is.
Top of the top.
I know what it is.
Every day of the week.
That's a fact, man. We here. We blessed. Happy to be here. Shout out to everybody that's here with us. Another day in the market. Spring break for the kids.
Wow.
Shout out to all the parents out there, man. Shout out to all the kids.
Thank y'all for an amazing episode last week. Numbers.
Yeah, man. The number.